Crowe shares stories from his childhood and as a teen journalist, interviewing the likes of Led Zeppelin, Chris Christopherson, the Allman Brothers, David Bowie, and much, much more. Cameron Crowe joins us now. Good morning, Cameron.
Good morning, Nate. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. So let's start with that title, the Uncool. That phrase that comes up a few times in Almost Famous. And it actually came out of real conversations with legendary rock and roll writer Lester Bangs. How did those chats kind of impact you and change the way you looked at the world?
I found that a lot of the people that I considered heroes in music were people that, like me, didn't have a lot of friends in high school and were kind of outsiders in a way, but later they found that this community of music lovers accepted them, and the songs were about somebody who kind of found their way into a way of belonging. And I just felt like the uncool, and this is what Lester Bangs, the great rock critic, once told me, is a badge of honor. You are your own kind of rebel, finding your way through the world and finding a voice that's only yours.
But why did he say you were uncool? Because you came from...
Yes, we both lived in San Diego.
Yeah, so he
he's
said,
like, come on, man.
Yeah,
we're
so
from San Diego. We're uncool.
Yeah. I will say this about you, because I fell in love with your dad and your mom, actually, so I'll just say this to you. Shut up and deal. What does that mean?
Shut up and deal, my dad used to say it, and I always wondered, like, what exactly did he mean? And it meant in our family, say it, you know, just like, go ahead, put it on the table.
Give it to me straight.
Be real.
But it's your mom, though, I was fascinated with. Your whole family is fascinating. But your mom banished rock and roll radio in your house.
Yeah.
Which I just marvel. You come from that background, and you end up interviewing some of the greats, and you're a baby puppy. How does that happen, and why did they trust you? This is what I couldn't get over.
Well, it's a good question looking back. I didn't think about it that much at the time because my mom was kind of a towering figure. She's a great teacher and a counselor, and there were always students in our house like learning from her, and she wanted to make sure that brain cells were protected. And she felt like music would slip in, rock music would slip in under the door or through a window and find us and start destroying our brain cells in favor of like sex and promiscuity in music. But really, ultimately, I think she found that following my bliss meant, you know, leaning into a world where I would interview my heroes.
But you got the big interviews, though. You're talking to Greg Allman after the death of his brother. You're talking to Led Zeppelin. Don Henley and Glenn Frey ask you to come stay at their house. You're like 15, 16, 17. Again, why did they trust you? Why were they so open with you? You're a kid.
I did so much research. So I had an orange bag at the time that I traveled everywhere with, and in it were just like notebooks upon notebooks filled with like detailed questions about Deep Purple's Machine Head or Jethro Tull, or in the Eagles' case, I just loved Take It Easy, and it had just come out, and I asked to interview them, and so they were puppies too. And so I had the right questions at the right time, and they would tell their friends or fellow artists, like, you can trust this guy.
Talk to that kid,
And Jackson Browne told Greg Allman that you could trust me. I was a music lover, so Greg Allman gave me an interview that no one else got.
There's also a youth and honesty and a purity in you, too. That allowed the likes of these rock stars to lean in. Because they knew you were coming from a pure place.
And I wasn't trying to be in the band. I was happy to learn about their process. There was one moment I remember the Allman Brothers had like a party room after their concerts where they would all get together and kind of sing songs and, you know, have a kind of communal experience. And I was sitting there 6 feet away from Greg Allman, and there was a guitar next to me. And I thought, you know, I know a couple chords. This is like, I love this. I pick up the guitar and I start playing, and he's looking at me like, that's odd. And then I felt like this guitar lifting out of me as if by magic, like lifting up over my head, taken by the head roadie to give to someone that actually knew how to play. And I realized, okay, your instrument is the typewriter.
So
don't mess with the guitar.
These heroes of rock trusted you, but you also trusted yourself. And it's your confidence that comes across. Your mom would say, doubt is the devil. Is that all it took to give you what you needed?
It helped. You know, she was the queen of aphorisms, little things that you could keep in your heart that would get you through the tough spots. And I believed it. You know, there are a few times where you get knocked down and you really start to think, okay, I'm not going to make it. But so many of these musicians had such good hearts, I thought. Even David Bowie, you see like the Wikipedia version of David Bowie. And that's incredible, but like I knew him as a guy that would give me a ride back to the place where I was staying because I had no driver's license.
Well, and what advice you got? Don't try to make friends with the rock stars because they're not really your friends. And if a rock star says to you, call me tomorrow, it normally means goodbye.
Yeah. I didn't know. I thought call me tomorrow. I would like try and call him the next day. But really, it's like, you know,
well, the book
good.
itself has a lot of things you can keep in your heart for the bad times. It'll get you through.
It's so good,
it's called
Cameron.
The Uncool. Cameron Crowe, thank you very much. The Uncool, the book goes on sale tomorrow. We'll be right back.
It's a good read.